I hope all of you are doing well into the first days of December. This is a collaboration I'm doing with Eric of Hand Tool Rescue. He's restoring a project that requires an extra hand wheel, and they were iron, so he decided to go ahead and make a whole set of 4 and use bronze for a change instead of the traditional cast iron, just to help set off highlights. Here I'm using my Petrobond, which I often use in non-ferrous material, which does leave a much better finish, but is a little difficult for me to work with since I'm so accustomed to using my green sand. These particular castings have a tapered square hole that goes through the center. Unfortunately, I was not able to replicate that because of the finish being so rough on the inside. It would not release from the sand, so I ended up plugging those by the end of this and just casting the hub solid. I had to take a rotary tool to the original cast iron wheels and just slightly dress the edges of the parting lines in between the spokes. They were a little ragged, and I wanted to have a little better definition there to go by. So here you can see I'm fixing the cope down. You can see the hub, that was the only thing touching at first, and I'm going to put some parting dust down, and that way it will not allow this sand to stick to the background as I'm truing this up. Here I am using a very rare Foundry tool. It's a specialty item. Not many founders actually have a set of these, and it highly resembles a 12-penny nail, so don't be mistaken. I'm joking, it's a 12-penny nail. But I'm using this to tamp down the sand between the spokes, along with cut out a very fine and circular concentric type trench going around the outer perimeter. And here I'm using a copper pipe slipped over the hub to wrap the pattern, and as I've stated before in other videos, this helps ease the parting line a little bit, removing any excess material that could cause flashing as I continue to mold it up. So on this first step, my main goal is to achieve the cleanest parting line possible. And like I said, I ended up plugging that square hole. Eric's going to file it out later. If we had more time, we would have made a core box that would have corresponded with that shape and cast a new tapered square hole in these, but because of the time it takes to get these through customs for me to get them, and then for me to have to send them back through customs, I wanted to make sure he got these in his hands as soon as possible where he could get on with his video and finish that project. So here I'm ramming up the cope side now, and I put a riser in, not necessarily for shrinkage. Turned out I did have some, but to catch some of the contaminants coming out of the crucible before they can go into the feeding system. As I said, I did experience some shrinkage on the hubs on the backside, little divots, and I went ahead, as you'll see later in this video, drilled them out on the lathe just to verify that Eric was going to have good solid material all the way through to work with. I have in the past had shrinkage where you don't really see it from the surface until you cut into it, and it'll look like wormholes all in the material. Now, you don't often see me do this, but I am not going to top this mold off. It's not that I didn't have enough sand. I didn't feel like walking all the way across the building and get another bucket just to top the last 1 inch off. So we're just going to go with this height here and cut our sprue in it and go with it. It doesn't hurt a thing, especially no bigger than these castings are. I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving. Mine wasn't so awesome. I ended up having to stay away from everybody. I was sick again. I had a bronchial infection, and I was having to quarantine myself from everybody, including my family, the whole week of Thanksgiving. I got my COVID test the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and my results didn't come in until Friday after Thanksgiving, so I was kind of upset. Of course, I tested negative. My sister, niece, and her husband were up here to spend time with my dad from San Antonio, and all I could do was give them an air hug. Okay, so here I'm cutting my gates, and I cut them at the spokes. You always, in a shape like this, it's a good practice to only enter where the spokes are. I wish I could explain why. All I know is the books I've always read, that's what they say. So do as the book says, not as I do sometimes. But it does make sense that the metal wouldn't have as much turbulence and resistance flowing in that entry point as it would hitting the interior of that circular ring and then having this split off in every direction. So yes, that does make sense. And here we're fixing to vent it. I'm piercing my vents on the very outside of that perimeter, and then I'm just going to scratch a very fine line to connect this imprint to the vents, and that way I don't have little tiny vent wire nubs to try to carefully grind off the face. And we are ready to pour this thing. And I believe this poisonous metal vapor actually helped my lungs a little bit. Yes, this was the very week I was down with the crud. And here they are. An hour after I poured them. Well, the first shot was. I didn't break these out of the mold until the next day. I'm using a hacksaw on this primarily because I don't want to accidentally kiss the bronze with a cutoff wheel. I have much better control. I can get very close with a hacksaw blade and it's soft enough. It goes right through with no problem. I'm not sure where Dollar's at, but Dog says hi. Dog is getting on up there. I think he's 17 years old now. Check out the way it holds the drills. Pretty cool old tool. The standard improved, number 1. The reason I had to drill these, I was wanting to verify that he was going to have enough stock in there. And he did. These had some shrink pockets in them, and I just needed to verify that material did not create little caves up under the surface, and they're solid. That was 3, and this is 4. So yeah, we got a good machined surface all the way through it, so I'll go ahead and get these packaged up tonight. It's only 10 o'clock, so I'm making good time on something for a change. Okay, so these were the original cast iron ones, which were pretty smooth. I did have to do a little work to this one. Get it to focus here. I had to do a little work to this one. You can see where I had to put some water putty around in certain areas to fill in little voids, but yeah, I think all in all, I think these are going to look good. Like and subscribe if you haven't already to see more upcoming projects here at Windy Hill Foundry. Hope everyone remains safe and healthy, and have a good day.